नमस्कार एवरीवन। आप सबका इस वेबिनार में स्वागत है। मेरा नाम मिथुन पंगल है। मैं विरासतम को रिप्रेजेंट करता हूं, जो कि एक एनजीओ है। नाउ बिफोर वी स्टार्ट, हम चाहेंगे कि कुछ लोग जो हमारे बीच अब नहीं रहे हैं, उन्हें हम श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करें। कुछ नाम मैं लेने जा रहा हूं। ये नाम है प्रोफेसर आई.के. भटनागर जी, जो नेशनल म्यूज़ियम से हैं। डॉक्टर विनय सहाय जी, जो क्यूरेटर थे नेशनल म्यूज़ियम में। मिस्टर एन सिल्वरे, जो टेक्निकल रिस्टोरर थे एनआरसी में, लखनऊ में। प्रोफेसर मोहम्मद इरफान, जो चेयरमैन ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ म्यूज़ोलॉजी एएमयू थे। मिस्टर अजीज़ सलीम अहसन जी, जो जॉइंट टेक्निकल ऑफिसर डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ म्यूज़ोलॉजी एएमयू से हैं। इन सब के लिए हम थोड़ी देर का मौन रखते हैं और प्रे करते हैं कि उनकी आत्मा को शांति मिले। इसी के साथ इन्हें याद करते हुए आज हमारा वेबिनार हम शुरू करते हैं। संगीता जी, ओवर टू यू।
Thank you, Mithun. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sangeeta. A very warm welcome to all of you in this second part of the virtual seminar on the challenges and opportunities of cultural institutions in future era. The inaugural part of this series was held on 29th of May, and this virtual seminar is organized by the Heritage Consortium and Heritage Restore in association with Rudra Conservation and Preservation and Virasatam. I'm not going to give a background of these organizations because this will get very repetitive. So if you wish to know who they are and what they do, please watch our first video, which is available on our YouTube channel, the Heritage Consortium. So we have received very positive and encouraging feedback on our previous program, and we wanted to make it even more participating. So, and this is going to be a platform where everybody gets to share his or her ideas. So if you want to share your ideas through this platform, you can write us on Heritage Consortium 2011@gmail.com. You can also send your short biodata and a synopsis of your topic. So if possible, we will be able to accommodate you in one of our future sessions. Some people also suggested that this program should happen in Hindi as well. So we would surely love to do this in Hindi, but doing seminar in 2 different languages simultaneously is not very practical for us right now. But our idea is to reach out to a larger audience, and we do not want any language barrier for this seminar. So our speakers are free to choose the language of their own choice, whether it's Hindi or English. So now I welcome all the participants who have registered here, and also those who are watching us on Facebook. And during the question and answer session, if you have any question, this is for the people from Facebook, they can just they can ask questions. They can click on the link which is provided in the comment section, and through that link they will get connected with us directly. And for any questions, please raise hand sticker use kare, which is right there in the chat box, and we will call out your names, and then you can ask your questions yourself. And lastly, I would like to inform you that we are making this a weekly series of lectures, and this will happen every Saturday. So our next lecture will happen on 12th of June, and I request everybody to participate once again. And if you happen to miss any of our live lectures, the recorded video will be available on our YouTube channel called the Heritage Consortium. So, coming to the theme of this seminar, in the previous discussion, we had already talked about the adverse effects of this pandemic and the challenges that we are facing as professionals working in the cultural and heritage sector. So, there is financial crisis and in some cases existential crisis among cultural institutions. So what is the way forward and how do we overcome this situation? That is what we are going to discuss here. Now, I welcome all our distinguished guests today, Professor Abdurrahim K from AMU, Aligarh, Dr. Arvind Mahajan from Government of Bihar, and Dr. Ranveer Singh Rajput from Bihar Museum. They are going to share with us their ideas and also the professional challenges they and their organizations are facing, and what according to them should be our next course of action. So we will have 20-25 minutes for each lecture and 10 minutes for Q&A session. Okay. So coming to our first speaker of the day, Professor Abdurrahim K. He is the head of the Department of Museology at AMU. He is also the Vice President of Indian National Committee for ICOM, the General Secretary of International Council for Bioregeneration of Cultural Property, a Fellow of Indian Science Congress, a member of Oxford Roundtable Conference, London, and many more. He has published nearly 60 research papers in important publications and also presented 65 papers in national and international conferences. Dr. Abdurrahim has been a member of expert committee, an examiner, and a member of jury to various institutions like BHU, Cochin University, National Museum Institute, NRLC, INTAC, NMNH, and AITC, etc. His topic of the day is the challenges and opportunities of cultural institutions in future era and the need of adapting technological advancements. So we welcome you, sir. Please go ahead.
Sangeeta, there isn't one update because this is recent update. Professor Abdul Rahim was a vice president of ICOM before. Now
Okay.
he is a general secretary of ICOM.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, everybody. Respected Dr. Arvind Mahajan, Regional Deputy Director of Museum, Government of Bihar. Dr. Ranveer Singh Rajput, Additional Director, Bihar Museums. And the organizers, Mr. Vibhash Kumar, Director, THC. Mr. Asfar, President, Heritage Restore. Mrs. Sangeeta Kumari, Director, RCP. Mr. Mithun Pangal, member of the Virasat, and all participants, Namaskar. I express my gratitude to the organizers to invited to discuss a very relevant topic, particularly in this pandemic lockdown period. In this webinar on challenges and opportunities of cultural institutions in future era. I have presented many papers and published papers in different journals in the same topic. Here about 10 papers on future of museology and museum professions and digitization and technology and all that. And we are passing through a very critical period. Millions of people are battling with corona pandemic to recover themselves. Today, I would like to present a paper on challenges and opportunities of cultural institutions in future era, and the need of adapting technological advancements. We are discussing various aspects of future problems, challenges, and opportunities in this era as well as in future. The future of cultural institutions like museums, archives, art centers, libraries, etc., depend upon how swiftly they recognize the potential resources like information technology, tourism industry, museum marketing, and effectively adapt themselves with the changing time. According to the need of the hour, they have to work. Museums continue to move towards becoming more equitable institutions. Diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion must be practically and internationally interwoven with an organization's strategic plan, policies, and practices. It focuses on the museum professionals and communities to create, imagine, share new practices of co-creation of values and marketing models for cultural sectors, and innovative solution for the social, economical, and environmental challenges of the present situation. Since last year, 2020 and 2021 have passed through a COVID-19 crisis, have swept the whole world abruptly, affecting every aspects of our life, including cultural sectors like museums have been under lockdown. Millions of people lost their job due to the close down of museums all over the world, particularly the private museum entirely depend upon the entry fee. According to a survey conducted by ICOM and other international organizations, present a dire situation for museums and their professionals with serious economic, social, and psychological repercussions in the short and long term alike. Moreover, many professionals expired due to the COVID pandemic last 1 year, and we already expressed our condolence. But these challenges also served as a catalyst for crucial innovations that were already underway as a prospects or new avenues open up. Online programs like virtual exhibition, augmented reality, webinar, which were initiated by various museums in advance, and remaining museums were compelled to do for their survival. Museums are no exception to these changes, and cultural sectors are among the most affected. This is a pivotal moment for our society, and we call museum to embrace it and lead the change for the survival. The time is now to reimagine our relationship with communities. We serve to experiment with innovation and hybrid model of cultural fusions, and strongly reaffirm the essential values and ethics of museum for the construction of culture as a driver for recovery and innovations in the post-COVID era. Digital initiatives in museum. As we know, during the lockdown period, visitors and users are not able to go from one place to another. So museum have to provide its services through the online mode. There are various virtual platforms such as Google Meet, WebEx, Zoom, etc., by which we can conduct the online exhibition, online tour, lectures, workshop, etc. Although some museums are performing such activities, more and more museums must come forward for these digital activities. It become mandatory for the survival. It is one of the initiative of Directorate of Archaeology and Museum Government of Gujarat, Museum at Your Doorstep. Now the outreach program is very important because visitors are not unable to come to the museum. So we have to reach them. Similarly, webinar, a lot of international and national webinar conducted during this period, especially regarding the pandemic situation, how to deal, what are the problems we already discussed. So it is, very cheap, activities of without any cost. We can have webinar, including participants of international participants can easily available with no time. Digital storytelling. It is one of the new initiative happened during the pandemic. In this pandemic lockdown period, more than ever, cultural professionals everywhere in the world have that special responsibility to share stories that help to demonstrate the value of empathy, kindness, stories that underline the importance of understanding history, culture, traditions, that encourage people to recognize that bind them rather than what separate them. So many initiatives have been taken place various places. The Heritage Lab worked closely with Europeana to create a platform for sharing of these stories. Anyone can participate in the digital story fest to tell stories based on the digitized material from cultural institutions across the world. This is the following the digital storytelling is the link for the same. It also helps people be at mental peace and enjoyment. That means edutainment. Instead of sitting idle during the lockdown period, museum professionals can come up with such innovative ideas. If you have quality materials like augmented reality, people enjoy it and share with their friends to get it viral. Advanced preparation for digital materials must be done to develop such activities. Otherwise, it may not be possible in a day or two to do so during work from home situation in lockdown period. So what I mean to say that advanced preparation for digital material is very important. When you require it, it is very difficult to get. For instance, the significance of digitization we have experienced during the last year lockdown period, when libraries, archives, and museums were closed down. Most of the institutions depend upon the online program, and most significantly, the digital study materials like e-books were provided to students who required them on urgent basis to prepare for their examination. Because suddenly the lockdown came, that was the examination period. The conventional libraries of Indian educational institutions were helpless to provide teaching materials, whereas Oxford University, Leicester University of UK come forward with free access to their digital libraries, who were adopted these technologies in advance. So Indian universities and their libraries are not digitized their textbook, and they are unable to provide it. But at the same time, we depend upon the foreign universities. Paradoxically, the few decades ago, many Indian museum professionals were against digitization and adopt technologies in museums. And not only the museum professionals, including the SBI employees, were went on strike more than 3 months against the computerization of nationalized bank in 90s. Can you imagine, without an ATM card or online transaction, government bank which could survive if private bank introduce the same in a right time? Because that time government take very serious step. That's why computerization happened in bank. In British Museum has recognized the importance of scientific documentation of museum collection in 1750. That means 2 centuries ago, they have made all these things. Many decades ago, they used computerized documentation, digitization in 1977. Similarly, the Canadian Heritage Information Network, the Canada's data bank of museum collection, providing access to it through computerized national network, started in 1972. We are just starting now digitization, and Digital India is recently come up with the new ideas. Still, the museology students depend upon digital materials for foreign museum because sufficient materials are unavailable in Indian museums for their project work, and always there will be a teacher and the students conflict when the students put foreign museum material. Then teachers ask, why you put this? Why you don't put the Indian museum materials? But the students are telling that this is not available in the website. As for know all these things. And some teachers reduce their mark if they put the collection of foreign museum. We must not forget we have legacy of cultural heritage, and other hand we are continuously facing disasters like flood, fire, lightning, earthquake, tsunami, etc. According to the recent report of United Nations, natural disasters now occur 3 times more than 50 years ago. We have experienced last 2 years continuous flood in Kerala, Bengal, Maharashtra, and many museums drawn. So digitization of all museum and archives and library material must be done and store it in multiple locations, including off-site storage, cloud storage, etc. If tsunami occur, the museum move like a ship in the water and wrecked with other buildings and get perish all the object, nothing will be left. If digitization, then at least we have some digitized material with that we can reconstruct the past in that by that. So that is the something will be better than nothing. That will be one of the quotation I would like to say, because many people think about or argue against the digitization few decades ago. That's why we are lag behind. This picture showing the virtual ark, it is in the concept of Noah's ark. Before the Mahapralaya occurred, Prophet Noah put all the species in a ship and saved. Similarly, before happening any type of disaster, we have to digitize all the materials and put in off-site storage and cloud storage to preserve them, so that we can reconstruct the past. This is the cover page I have designed for a book, Reconstruction of Past, Scope and Limitation, few years ago, 2009. Now, the existence of museum in changing society can be justified only if it proves the relevance to the natural and cultural needs of the society vis-a-vis socio-economical and technological development in the country. The increasing emphasis on developing technology play an important role in education and information services at present has created a scenario where museum can no longer afford to remain in a blissful isolation as a mere passive exhibition of accumulated collection. They should have a more active and dynamic role to play, entertain and satisfy the visitors by using new materials and technologies. Otherwise, the visitors may opt for many other means and ways to spend their leisure times, like visiting malls, theme parks, 7D experiences in cinema halls, having high technology and high tech facilities. If the museums don't have the high tech programs, the future, the new generation will go attract to high tech places. Planned educational, cultural, and entertainment program, coupled with healthy collaborations and cooperation of similar departments engaged in such programs, are vital for healthy and sustainable development of museums. Museum should generate its own fund because government have already curtailed grants, particularly in this pandemic situation. 50% finance budget have been cut. And it is not only the museum, all the public sector, including education institution, getting only 50%. Moreover, many vacant positions of various museums have been abolished last few decades. First they banned to appointment for 3, 4, 5 years. Then the administration or government telling you have not filled the post last 5 years, we are going to abolish. In National Museum, more than 60 posts have been abolished, and in Calcutta Museum, Salarjung Museum, many museums having the same position. Similar out, and what they're doing, if we demand the post, they're selling outsourcing, and contractual employment policies also implemented in various levels by the government. Thus, permanent position in public sector would not be available in future. That is one of the biggest problem. Now, artificial intelligence will be one of the most important technology which will be in the future of museum. It can be applied in dioramas and communication techniques and exhibitions and all that. And including accessibility, it can be used, including virtual reality, can be used and adopted in the museum for better communication and information techniques. Similarly, application of virtual reality can be used in dioramas. Then augmented reality. That's also give a real look to this. I will show that video later on. And application of augmented reality used in dioramas and various exhibition purpose. It is one of interactive type of virtual reality. Now, technological advancement in museum. This presentation I have done 3 years ago in National Museum. So it gives some important aspects. Technologies are integral part of modern museum, which enable all the functions of museum more effective and sustainable, such as collection, documentation, preservation, conservation, exhibition, communication, education service, and research. In all these functions, a lot of new technology can be adopted for effective communication. Technological advancement in museum in the last 2 decades have resulted a paradigm shift in the museums and made them more interesting, effective, and attract more visitors. This is a plastinated specimen. One man put his own skin in his hand and showing. It is a plastinated technique you can see in the British Museum. Similarly, plastinated holes with rider to show all muscles, how it work during the ride. Museums of developed countries are technologically much more advanced than those of developing countries like India. We are lag behind 50 years. That is why tenders of construction of many new museums are floated globally and finalize many projects to foreign companies to execute the work. For example, Patna Museum, Sardar Patel Museum, etc., given to foreign companies because India did not updated the technology and the professionals are not updated and we are still lag behind. That's why such type of things happen. In India, museums are often misunderstood as a housed sculpture and archaeological fragments like potteries, tools, etc. It is because of the lack of
अंकुर जी
awareness.
ये सर का एक वीडियो आया था वो प्ले करने के लिए कहेंगे रोबोट
Okay.
करके तो डाउनलोड किए हुए हैं ना
So it is because of the lack of awareness about the different type of museums and their collections among the public. This is the concept of museums in Indian mindset, including educated people think about museum means archaeological object. Custodians of the museums are also responsible for it because they did not make updated and popularize their activities through modern information technology, except for a few museums which put their information on their website in the last few decades. The big crisis in Indian museums is lack of visitors because they do not provide sufficient information about their collections and are unable to attract visitors, particularly the new generation, and satisfy their present demand. For example, cultural museum exhibits sculptures, tools with a little information about 2 words like dancing girl 5000 BC. That's a small information. If we put a QRC code, then people can get more information by scanning it. They can get the whole material in the mobile. Even they can go with them and read when they take a rest in their house. Natural history museums often put some interactive display to make exhibit interactive. But science and technology museums are more technologically advanced, and interactive exhibitions like robotic dinosaurs, augmented and virtual reality exhibits were there, and I will show you some videos. This is the high-tech model of Nehruji and his speech, and you can see it in Parliament Museum. And Calcutta Panorama also having this type of high-tech museum. And similarly, you can see the ancient Rome in the Google, and 3D dimensional Rome city can be seen. You can see it. So in this way, we can make more effective exhibitions various places. Similarly, technology has changed the paradigm ushers in our daily life. The vision of the new generation is quite smart. They wish everything they use must be smart. So the museum must be smart enough, like smart home, smart hospital, etc. In smart museum, all the key component objects and system should be incorporated with artificial intelligence. 10 years ago, I have published a paper on smart museum in the Journal of Museum Association of India. This is not the futuristic scenario. Today, with current internet and telecommunication technology, all this is possible, or much more can be done. The process of converting conventional museum into a smart museum is quite possible. All that is required are some computers with microprocessor based control panel and sensors with Wi-Fi networking system. The development of information technology and computer networking system can play a major role in interactive display in museums. So far, various methods have been used to simplify to provide information about the exhibit. The object incorporated with embedded sensors can be modified into interactive type of display so that visitors can ask questions to their choice and clear their queries directly to the object by including the artificial intelligence system. For instance, the recent technological advancement changed the display of dusty dinosaur skeleton into 3D model. Then it was modified into robotic life-size dinosaurs which move their body parts, interact with public in a lifelike way, and roars at visitors. Now the augmented and virtual reality show of Dino's Park have made the interpretation even more interesting. I will show you some picture, video clip. This is the old method of displaying the dinosaur skeleton. Now later on it modified into more sophisticated fabricated object displayed in museum. Then it is a robotic dinosaur which roar at visitors, and interactive type of robotic dinosaurs also developed later on. All this can see in British Museum and foreign museums. India is not reached still in this position. So we should also have such type of things to attract the new generation. This is the augmented reality. You can see where the diorama, where visitors are there, then the objects or 3D or 7D object will come and interact with the public. This is augmented reality, and that will be more interactive and more interesting to the public. So this type of things we should introduce to the museum. Similarly, humanoid robots are some of the recent invention which can be used in museum as a robo guide. This guide will be very effectively, guide the visitors, whereas the human guides tired and sometimes they become lazy. But these robo guides will be very interesting, and they work I will show you some humanoid robots developed by Japan. It is found in Japan Museum. This type of robotic guides you can see in the museum. Honda Motor Company and Sony Corporation have recently developed DSD-R3X robo guides. Museums have unlimited scope for conducting research, unlike other institutions. Emerging research in museum consists of quality preservation of DNA for regeneration and cloning of extinct species, color preservation of organic materials like flowers and plants, nanotechnology, embedded technology, biomaterial, herbal biocide, plastination, haptic technology, GPS security system, PCR, QRC, RFD, cognitive learning, mnemonics, human brain computer interface, augmented reality, and virtual reality, so on. In many cases, most of the areas we are conducting research in the Department of Museology, AMU Aligarh. And many PhD have been awarded in human brain and mnemonics and herbal pesticides. Now DNA regeneration cloning techniques is under progress, and similarly haptic technology. New technologies from the area of virtual reality now allow the customer to use their sense of touch to feel virtual object of remote object with high degree of realism. It can be applied in the museum. Now this you can see is an exhibition conducted in our university museum last year during the Gandhi Jayanti program, the special program for Gandhi for All, especially made for visually impaired people. And this we displayed the Gandhi stick, then the modification of the stick, like including smart can, then a robotic chair model we prepared that will move according to the command of robotic human. Vibash, please run that video, because
I'm just loading that. One second.
Yeah, this video I don't have the sound. Sound is not clear. That's why please move. This is a robotic chair car. We developed a working model for impaired people that work as a human computer interface, and that work into that will help for visually impaired people, and that is very important for future generation. Vibash, can you?
Sir, I'm playing the video. One second.
Okay.
Just hold on.
Okay, you can do afterward. I just a conclusion.
Okay.
Advanced preparation for futuristic planning and adopting new technologies, updating strategies which are mandatory for the sustainable development of the future museum. Don't wait for the disaster or crisis to come for initiating mitigation process, like online programs, virtual programs, all these programs. Foreign museums have been done all this 20 to few decades ago. Now we are become upset and developing all these things during the pandemic when the visitors are unable to come. But we don't wait for that. We should be planned advancedly. If we update our strategies, we can overcome the crisis and able to make the challenges into opportunities. Otherwise, we will fail to survive due to the lack of upgraded resource. For online program, we have the digitized material, and we don't have such thing. How we do? Without 1 or 2 days, it is not possible. So advanced preparation is very important. Most of the university museums are closed down and not open because they don't have any digital material, and they are unable to help the students. Only they have the conventional objects only. So my message is that if you fail to plan, your plan will fail. If you don't update, you will be outdated. So we will be always updated, and our plan should be futuristic plan should be made according to the need of the generation. These are the references, and almost all these these PPTs prepared from this only. In a future of museum in new millennium, prospects and challenges, souvenir, ICOM, Asia Pacific, in which I presented this one in 2000, two decade ago. Then again, information technology in museum, prospects and challenges, Journal of Indian Museum, published by me in 2001. Then marketing of museum via internet, that was published in 2000. Then 2003, smart museum, changing scenario of museum display technique. Whatever the techniques I have explained, all this I explained in 2003. Similarly, application of integrated communication system in the modernization of museum exhibition. Then information technology, bridging museum and communities. It is very important now, and it is published in 2007. And then scope and challenges of digital preservation, and prospects and challenges of museum and museum profession. This I published in 2009. So these are the advanced technology we have adopt for the survival and sustainable development of the future of the museum. Thank you very much. And can you run that?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Mithun, please play his video.
Possible? Okay.
Hello everyone, I am Humaira Amir from Department of Museology, AMU Aligarh. I am introducing here robotic chair car designed by Mr. Nuruddin, Mr. Jahangir, Humaira Amir under supervision of Professor Abdul Rahim, Chairman of Department of Museology. This futuristic chair is electrically controlled device designed to have self-mobility with the help of user command by the principal human-computer interface. This reduces the user's human effort and force to drive wheels such as visually and physically challenged, old-aged and disease like Parkinson's disease. This chair detects obstacle, gave alarm call and signals which reduces the chance of collision during traveling based on the human-computer interface. This chair provided with GPRS system by which one can fix location by voice and Google navigation. When any obstacle come forward, then sensor detect it and make a call to aware an individual. This chair is provided with green or red light to aware public from differently able person. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the video.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Session.
Yeah, we can now take questions from the attendees.
Okay.
Anybody wants to ask a question, they can use raise hand. I have this is Miss Anjali. You can now ask your question. Mithun, हमने सबका mic on कर दिया? Yeah. So Anjali, आप अपना question पूछ सकती हैं.
अंजलि जी,
Okay, never mind. संजीव सर, आप अपना क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहते हैं? आप अपना माइक ऑन कर लीजिए. Okay. सर, आपका ऑडियो आई थिंक ठीक नहीं आ रहा है.
संजीव जी,
Okay, meanwhile we can take questions from Q&A section. This question is from Kamlesh Kumar Sharma ji. What are the ways to generate funds by the museum in the present circumstances?
Pardon, one more.
What are the ways to generate funds by the museum in the present circumstances?
Now, one can be, it is a cultural institution. We have the cultural friends and the public relations. So crowdfunding can be possible, and we can accept the people donations and gift from, rich people, like, so many industrialists are giving money for different charity organizations and all that. So we can say we are in crisis now. We have to preserve the cultural heritage for future generation to come. So it is very important to preserve and viable, make sustain our museum. So they can give, fund nationally and internationally. Organizations can you get fund from UNESCO, and even if our present government, we can write it is an important area. We have to be, you cannot neglect this sector, because once it is lost, it will lose forever. So we have to approach our own government to stop curtailing our fund. That will be one of the step. Then crowdfunding, and we can approach different NGOs and industrialists for donation and gift.
Very rightly said, sir. Another question is from Nivedita Saha. How Prostination technique can act as technological vehicle for conservation of museum artifacts?
Yeah.
I will.
It's not a conservation program. It is a preservation techniques. Generally, in biological technique, we take out the skins and including internal parts like small, ear, internal ear can be preserved, and it is a very small piece. So if it is preserved and kept in the bottle, people cannot see. But in case of fascination, there will be a coat of preservatives will be there, and it will not be damaged for even touch and feel. So in this way, we can use it. We, 4 years ago, we brought an expert for plastination from Bangalore Medical College, and we demonstrated the plastination technique in our for our Department of Museology students. So we have some plastinated specimens. We conducted research in the plastination technique also. So that is one of the important area, the preservation of biological specimens. It can be used.
Okay. Asper wants to ask a question. Asper, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, as I remember, in 2006 or 7, in Jodhpur MAI conference, you raised the same questions to the people to change the technology, and you please accept. Like that time we are using floppies, and you are talking about CDs and DVDs, and the people are saying that is very difficult. Now we are augmented reality and artificial intelligence and other things, and still you are doing so. So it's really great, sir. And second thing, sir, which is very much important, when you started till now, it's like 10 to 12 years passed, and it's still, I think so, 1 or 2% only digitization happened to the culture institutions. So it's still not yet they are aware about it, the circumstances. I remember one incident, everybody's know that NMNH. And before it's happened, that tragedy, I remember that British Museum, they started crowdfunding for digitize their natural history specimens. And with the crowdfunding, and a huge amount are involved in that to digitize. I also went to the NMNH and I proposed them to do some digitization for your natural history specimen. And if they done that time, so maybe they save some data. So it is very much important, which you the question you raised. So it is very much important nowadays. So and I believe that it is a SOS thing, and like you are a professor of one of the department, and another department like Baroda or Calcutta or NMI or DHRM and other institutions, you have to call these people, the head of the peoples, and prepare the lecture, something for these people, those who don't aware about the digitizations still yet. You just give a special lecture to them, especially as senior professors like you people, to aware them to please do it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's very big loss will happen. Like you can say that the Central Vista project, lots of things are going to be changed. In that situation also, I don't know how much good manner they adopt to shift. But yes, of course, the digitized version are available, then it's fine. Otherwise, maybe I lost something. So these are the factors we have to keep in mind. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable suggestions.
You might remember that in 2009, we had a conference in our Department of Museology regarding reconstruction of past. You know that, it is in which I presented a paper on virtual arc. Okay, that's why head of the department and professionals were attended. Then digitization and all this, I explained that, and the cover page of the proceeding of that conference is the virtual arc. I show you that ship having all the virtual digitized material that we discussed about 2009, 1 decade ago, and in which we have invited all the head of the department of different museology departments of institutions and museum professionals, and about 70 experts were there, and this type of activities was running, and MI have been arranged many conferences regarding future of museum and marketing museum in 2000. I already show you some literature. I remember in Maharangat Fort, where the MI conference was there, and there was argument against digitization when I presented the paper on digitization, and you have recorded the video. Still, I have the video recording regarding that. So that was the situation.
I only add one more thing because we all congratulate you the effort you have done in your department regarding the Parkinson's disease people, the wheelchair. We are fortunate to having Mithun is here. Mithun from Vyasatam. He is a very good technocrat. He is from MIT Institute of Technology and the Pennsylvania University alumni, and he is India's one of the good technocrat, those who are very good in animatronics, AI, artificial intelligence, augmented reality. So maybe he will also help you if you really need them.
All the technologies which you showed, it was very exciting, and I would say I was very fortunate in life that I got to work in almost all the varieties. And and there are a lot of museums in India who are changing this narrative and working on the vision which you just explained.
And Mithun worked in Singapore museums, and many other museums are related to the technology advancements.
So Mithun, most welcome to collaborate with us. It is it is not for Parkinson's disease people. It is not only for that. It is visually impaired people. That workshop was conducted for visually impaired people, and we invited many blind school students and university students who are visually challenged. So it is a good thing that can be. That was a working model, but we would like to make the real one. We will collaborate Mithun with us. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
But I'm saying I'm very happy to see your thoughts on it, and it is so relevant in today's generation because it's no more just the artifact, it's no more just the painting. People want to engage more, get the information more in as many ways possible.
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sangeeta ji.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It was really informative to all of us and very relevant in today's situation. We now quickly move on to our next speaker, Dr. Arvind Mahajan. Dr. Mahajan is a regional deputy director working for the Bihar government. He has graduated in chemistry and has received professional training in conservation of museum objects. So as a research scholar, he also taught numismatics at Magad University, and he has received his PhD from Magad University, Bodh Gaya. He has published a book called Sambodhi, the Facets of Bodh Gaya. He has also published nearly 40 research papers in national and international journals on art history, conservation, and museums. At present, he is involved in many technical projects at Bihar Museum, Buddha Memorial, Stupa Museum project at Vaishali, and museum renovation and extension project at Patna Museum. He is going to speak on the challenges for museums in post-pandemic new normal scenario. Welcome, Dr. Mahajanji. Over to you.
Mahajan sir, you are live.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you. Are you hearing me? Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
I'm sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it is visible.
First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me a chance to speak on this platform. I would speak on challenges for museums in post-pandemic new normal scenario. First of all, I'd like to say this new normal. This phrase is being widely used in national and international subjects. This is the state to which society, etc., settles following a crisis. When this crisis differs from the situation that prevailed prior to the start of the crisis. This term was first employed in relation to the First World War and in similar such situations aftermath. The pandemic COVID-19 stalled the world and put the humanity in crisis. All the activities stopped and rather closed the human beings behind the doors. With pandemic slowing down roughly from the December 2020, the new normal began in India and the social activity started to crawl, but it couldn't go long. From the mid-April 2021, the phase of new abnormal began, which again brought the society to the halt. The second wave of COVID has badly hit the country. The condition is more precarious than the earlier wave, with greater impact on society and the masses. Though the cases have started to slow, but most of the states are having lockdown and unlock is due. Thus, new normal 2 is yet to begin. New normal 1 vis-a-vis 2. The new normal, when the museums opened for public, footfalls were very low in comparison to the earlier normal. It was a general tendency to avoid to visit a public place like museum. In new abnormal, museums are again closed. What will be the trend of community considering the effect of vulnerability of the second wave over the minds of the society is a moot question. In new normal 1, when people did not prefer to visit a public place like museum, we should have to relook at the collection of the museum to redesign the community engagement with an objective to ease out the negativity prevailing among the masses. In new normal 2, condition is not going to be much different, but with more negativity in the community. If museums do not cope with the situation, there will be a very tough time for them. It is hard to visit a museum is a last priority for the general mass. So this is also the last priority for the government. So museums should be prepared for new realities in coming time. The static versus dynamic. Museums in general deal with heritage and culture. I'll say heritage is dynamic. Heritage is static. Culture is dynamic. Museums though deal with both, but they are more heritage oriented. Dynamic subjects usually bend as per time and space. For example, fairs, festivals, and other tangible forms. So they have popular elements which maintain their continuity. So museums will have to make their collection dynamic. How? In 2002, I did a month-long visitor survey with sample size of 3,000 in Patna Museum. It comprised all types of people, I mean rural, urban students, housewives, etc. I found 82% came for fun and frolic, and for them museum is a hangout place. 14% came to see the museum, but they have least knowledge about the display and collection. Only 4% have real interest in the collection, having curiosity to know about them. Interestingly, the world-famous Didarganj Yakshi is not the USP, but the bison in Natural History Gallery and tribals, their life size models in art gallery, were more popular, having 74% likes. Didarganj Yakshi, not the USP among the general people coming to the museum. Who is responsible? I say we. I have seen almost all the museums in India. Most of the museums have no perspective and storyline for their display. Rather, they are simply warehouse or visual storage of the artifacts. Labels which generally show title, period, provenance, accession number are for our fellow curators. On this issue, the earlier speaker, Professor Abdul Rahim, has also shown the concern that we convey no information to the general visitor who is coming to the museum. For general people coming to the museum, the artifacts are simply amazing things, and the museums are Ajaib Ghar or Jadughar. When a large percentage of people coming to the museum is taking it as a hangout place, as more than 80% of the people coming to the museum are coming there for fun and frolic. So museums are a hangout place for them. Then it is to compete with other popular hangout places of the time like malls, parks, theaters, etc. A large section of museum people, whom I call Puritan Orthodox, say we cannot be a mall or theater. They simply say museums cannot be shut down. वो कहते हैं कि म्यूजियम कभी बंद नहीं, सरकार इसको बंद नहीं कर सकती है. The small museums are on the verge of shutdown. This is reality. Lack of trained museum personnel, support staff is very common. Majority of posts in museums are vacant. No recruitment in most of the states since last 20 years. Just think the future. It is crucial time for museum, especially the new normal, when museums will have meager visitors. We should be prepared for new realities. We shall have to relook and redesign the outreach policy with medium-term implication and long-term implication. Switching from information to provocation. I mean, we have to provocate the visitors that how they can draw much. Rethink and redesign the financial model, whether private or government. When finance is involved, this is very tedious and tricky for both type of museums, as they have their own nuances, and moreover, museums are non-productive institutions. Finance is a very, very big thing for a museum to survive. Museums will have to be self-sufficient. Otherwise, it is not possible to run a museum. For working in museum for more than 30 years, whatever I am saying is my practical experience. Many things are said that do this, do that. How? These are the ideal conditions, but in museums we work in given conditions. A lot of complications are there to expense, to get fund. It's a very tedious thing. Self-sufficient. Further, I would like to quote an example. Cinema theaters are closed since last 1.5 years, and production of films is also at halt. The people related to the profession have no government support. They explore OTT over the top, which gave them a new vista. In last 1.5 years, quite a good number of films and web series were released on OTT. OTT can also be a medium for museums. I will give example of Secrets of Sinoli, a narrative running on Discovery, maybe an example in heritage sector. Here I would like to add a channel is working on the feminine beauty, and they are in contact with me in related to the Didarganj Yakshi. So they are exploring the museums, many of channels. I'm just citing an example. Film on Kumbh also has been released on Discovery. Heritage can be made dynamic with these things on these platforms. Such popular stories can be introduced with museum objects. There are various channels on YouTube, but related to heritage are a few hitherto negligible. A story may be based on authentic references. A story of Yakshi play and Shiva trilogy by Amish. Here I would like to quote a play on Yakshi that was produced by some local Patna people. They made it a fiction, but this is a fact. You can't made a fiction out of facts. Similarly, the Shiva trilogy, the novel which is very popular among the new generation, among the students. My kids also have gone through this novel, and whatever is there, which is rubbish, no facts, and they are taking the facts given in this trilogy as the reality. Where are the new generation going? Online classes by schools, especially for children. Online classes are going on. We can also attach with these schools and many educational channels like Baiju classes and like these things are going on in social media or over the internet. Museums can also collaborate with them and produce their objects, their collection. And these can also help in developing their financial model. Then comes the hybrid museum. Museums across the world are exploring the possibilities given by interactive digital tools to unlock the new narrative possibilities and expand the visitor experience of the museum beyond the physical limits of display. There may be interactive in gallery tools that connect the tangible objects on display with wider world of virtual media, whether through interactive touch screens, mobile apps, or location-based audio guides. These museums leverage technology to create a hybrid experience, enabling physical and digital to exist and interact in a way that transforms and enriches the visitor experience of the collection. At the same time, museum investing in digital engagement tools must also consider critical issues related to the development and implementation of technologies such as cost, staff training, and infrastructure requirements, as well as technological realities, such as maintenance needs and planning for replacement when these things become outdated. Museum must also seek to strike a balance with interactive tools to ensure they serve to enhance the physical experience without overshadowing it completely. Finally, I would like to conclude with that, having work experience of more than 30 years in museum sector, I have seen the course of change in museum technology in which Bihar is pioneer. We are doing a lot of museums in Bihar with which I am directly or indirectly related. We have done Bihar Museum, a museum which is not to see but experience. This is a great museum, and I think no museum can compete with this Bihar Museum, future will say. Museum professionals would have to redesign their approach to the museum. Pandemic has given some new lessons, foremost of which is nothing is predictable. At the same time, museum definition by ICOM needs reconsideration for the word non-profit, which is vague. Without finance, a museum cannot go long. Nothing comes free. A museum must be self-sufficient to cater the needs. Thanks. Whatever I wanted to say, I just, as said earlier, that I've been given 25 minutes of time, so I try to complete in given time. Whatever things I have said is my personal experience while working in museums. A lot of things, a lot of problems are there, which I can't share on this platform. So What is reality we are facing? I am sharing with you. Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your practical experiences. We can now take questions from the attendees.
Mahajan ji,
Anybody?
it is
Ji,
not
ji.
a question but a suggestion that now ICOM is going to redefining the museum. So you can also give your suggestion that I have also supported. I already given a definition for ICOM in which I remove the non-profit. You know, museum may be profitable or non-profitable. Why should be non-profitable? The word should be deleted, according to me. You know, various private museums are running in foreign countries, and they are getting a lot of money and profitable. It is a profitable business now. So we cannot say it is a non-profit. So you can, sir, you can also suggest this word to ICOM Paris. Thank you very much.
Here I would like to say that this word non-profit is only for the museums of third world. In European countries, all the museums are making big profit and they are charging heavily from the visitors. But in India or in Asian countries, they say you show the museum free of cost. What free of cost? Government is investing a lot there.
Like ICOM are nowadays searching for a new definition of museum. So I think so Dr. Mahajan sir and Abdur Rahim sir and all other people are also suggest to ICOM to change the definition according to this point of view also. Because non-profit making, it's killing the museum institutions all over the India. So it should be a profitable and suggest some new ideas to make a profit and survive in the situation.
I am foreseeing the future. I am dealing in Bihar. Most of the posts are vacant. Nobody is there to see the museums. If a museum won't be self-sufficient, it is very difficult to survive in future. Anyhow, so museums are also. I couldn't understand what the non-profit the word is. Non-profit, I just couldn't understand.
We all are at the same stage, sir.
Can I come? Can I come?
Yes, sir. Please answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. It's a good, the word, we are discussing the non-profit or profit. So there is a two, why it is used, that historical perspectives of that should be looked into, why it was used, why the ICOM has adopted this word, that is to be looked into. It is not easy to that if you go for the non-profit, then you have to define the non-profit, and the management, the system of management has a different definition for the non-profit and profit. So I'm not going to the touching the financial part. Only I have a suggestion that we should be rational. We should be rational that most of the institutions in the world where the antiquarian law is in vogue, I repeat, where antiquarian law are in vogue, are bound to be in the museum. Otherwise, there is a strong possibility if there will be no check and balance, then it will be easier for them to siphon of the objects. That is why, so it is interconnected. If you see the history of the museum definition and deliberation in the ICOM, it is interconnected. Why it was used, the non-profit. So that is why it should be looked, and we should have a rational view rather than the emotional views. Thank you.
Sanjeev ji, I'm not taking an emotional view. You know, you also work in museum. Is it possible to siphon off the object from a museum? No, not at all. I'm not saying to make money. There are a lot of means. I have just cited an example of the secrets of Sinoli, which are being shown on Discovery Channel. It's a big hit. About 1 million of views are for this particular
I studied, Arvindji, so nice of you. Thank you. So you are giving the wonderful explanation, but I have my own experience. I studied abroad. I got the training in the London, Korea, and the America in the museum field. So what I found that people do see that they have the hefty charge. They are charging hefty, but it is for the project. If they are going for an exhibition and they are charging, say about $15, $20, or 10 pounds or 15 pounds, then why they are charging? It is not, museum entry is free, but for exhibition you go there, you have to. So they have non-profit here is that they have spent the money on the project, they want to recover it. So this is the process where European or all around the globe are working. So this is my experience. That is, it is not absolute. Might be something different. But what I have been taught and what I experienced while I was in London for a year. So, and when I was doing my MBA in Korea, so I experienced it. The entry is free or they have minimal charge, but for the project, if you have the special exhibition, they are charging. Why they are charging? Because they want to realize their expenditure. That's it.
Sanjeevji, I'll cite an example here. In Patna Museum, there is a Buddha relic gallery.
Yeah.
The entry fee for Patna Museum is rupees 15 only. And for Buddha gallery is 100 rupees extra. And for the foreigners, this is 500 rupees.
Yes.
A lot of hue and cry was there when that system was introduced. And even today, we are facing problem for this thing.
So I will give you an example, Arvindji. So I'm giving you the national scenario in India. So you have the 5 national museums, and that entry, you have the entry tickets. You are selling the souvenirs as a publication and the other things. But you know that these money are going to the exchequers. You are not utilizing that money. So yes. That is what exactly we have to look into, that what we should be rational. So whatever the money, if you are earning the money, you should use in the for the benefit of the museum. So it is not happening in the India, in particular government sector. That is the problem.
Sanjeevji, while working in the museum, you and me are facing the experience in what condition we are running a museum.
चलिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। मैंने कि ये जो है ना हरि कथा अनंता वाली बात है।
A lot of things can't be shared on this platform.
Yes.
So a lot of things are in ideal condition, but we have to work in given condition. This is the basic thing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So nice of you. So nice of you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody